Well, hello everybody. For the next 10 minutes or so, I want to talk to you a little bit about pathways and villages. It's something that our church has been involved with for quite a little while now, and it's obviously something that is quite important to us. If you look, there is a sheet of paper, a PDF, that you can download that goes with this talk. And this is also in both video and podcast format, the video being on YouTube. Let me just talk to you about where we are and give you a little bit of background. Our heart is as a mission church. You may know that, but it's very, very important to us throughout all the years that at least I know I've been here. Where are we in this current stage then of developing mission-shaped church and following that divine imperative of pathways and villages? Well, we've had a year of consideration. It's been a time when we've had some guest speakers like Andrew, who came to Sir William Ramsey for a joint meeting from St Andrew's Chorley Wood. It's a time when we as a core team have thought more about what it means. We've spoken to various people, we've visited various churches, we've run and been part of a cell conference on the whole idea of clustering cells together. And so it's been a time where we've been trying to share and think through what this might look like. Over the last month, it's been a month of consultation. We were doing some preaching, and at the end of that preaching time on belonging, growing and sharing, we spoke to the congregational teams and to all the cell leaders separately, and spoke to them about our heart for pathways and villages, and found a tremendous resonance from all of them. And at the same time, I spoke to the whole church about some of this at Ramsey School. And in this last week, and I'm speaking this on the Friday at the end of the week of prayer, we've had a most wonderful week of prayer where we've been asking people to think about what God is doing, and there's been a very strong mission emphasis in that week of prayer. So what does this future look like then? What does it mean that we're going to move into these pathways and villages? What does a village look like? And first, let me talk about the future process. We're going to start this in earnest at the APCM. At the end of April, I will, in some ways, release this and say, let's go and do it. We will need to spend some time with congregations in that first month, so we'll have some joint evenings where instead of meeting as selves, we'll meet as whole congregations, where we can talk and pray and think about this together. We will encourage the early development of some villages, which are very obvious. Ones may be related to a school or to an area or to a particular grouping. And we'll share the principles behind these early models and encourage others to think through about where their role might be. And so what we're going to do is really start that process, which we would call as messy church, really, where change is inevitable and where new villages will spring up all around us. All well and good. Here's some important considerations. Firstly, we need to be clearer about some of the basic principles on which a village will operate. A village must involve engagement with those outside of the Christian faith. It's not a club for Christians. There has to be some engagement which is missional. Secondly, it needs to have some clear leadership who have a common vision. We need 2 or 3 people who in each village will lead very clearly and share that vision for their outreach. I imagine it will have an identifiable purpose, and with that purpose might come a name that reflects that. So in some ways, there'll be an identity that we can understand. It will have cells at the heart of it. We're committed to Cell Church. We've seen the strength of them. We've seen some of the weaknesses, that they're not that good in mission. But the strengths are they provide tremendous sense of belonging and growing. It's where we do our discipleship and our care and our encouragement and our support. And cells are very important. So cells will be at the heart of villages. A village of 20 people will most probably split into 2 cells. A village of 30 into 3, and likewise. And it may be related just to one congregation, or it may be related to the whole church. It may be a group of people from across the whole church from one new village. And that's okay, because at different levels, congregations, we preach the same message and teach the same things, and we have the same mission. What are some of the challenges that might bring? Well, in everything, there are both early and late adopters. And early adopters sometimes annoy late adopters, and vice versa. We want to release those who are keen to move on. And as a church, we need to do so. That means releasing them from other areas of ministry that they might be involved in as well. For current cells, that will be quite a challenge because people will come out of cells as they form new villages, and therefore some of the cells may find their numbers cut by a third or a half. And they might find that a bit of a challenge, and we'll encourage you during that time, if you're in one of those cells, just to maybe join with another cell until we can see what the new picture looks like. What we want people to do is release people and not hold on to them. They will need good support. Villages need to be supported by staff and others who want to help them in what they're doing. And then we need good communication. It would be very important that those stories that they're developing are told around the whole church. The role of staff and others in leadership will be to serve the villages. We don't want to lead them, we want to serve those who are leading them. That's very important for us. And at the same time, we need to maintain fellowship life through that. And there's lots of life to do with the fellowship that's quite important. Some possible villages, what they may look like? Well, firstly, there will be those who are related to current networks, whether it's a group of people or neighbourhoods, which is an area in a local area. There might be those who are interest groups, could be a school or an age group or some activity group. Communities that exist already will be natural places for villages to develop. We expect some to be social action based, and we've already got our work with the homeless in Wickham and also with the prisons in lots of different ways, and they may all come under one initial social action village. They may also be church centre based. It's important that we both provide a clear heart for people who are coming to faith and to encourage our existing people, and that the church centres in themselves become a lot more missional. And so we envisage for every centre we've got a village that is welcoming, discipling, encouraging, building and helping people along that walk of faith. So what's your part going to be in this? Well, where's your heart for mission? Have a think through. Where am I going with God? What is it that touches my heart? Where do I want to share with others? Who else shares that with you? There must be people you know in your current cell or in your current congregation or in the church who have that same heart, and you need to start talking to them together. Not being too definitive at the moment, but just beginning to share the same heart for mission. What practical support? You could ask yourself this: can I give? Some people find it very difficult to be up front, but many like to serve, and just in some of the practical areas of helping run things and be involved in activities. And the final question is, what's stopping you? We're pretty convinced this is God's will and purpose, that divine imperative for us as a church. We would love all of us to be involved, not just 5% or 10%, not even just 70% or 80%, that all of us might say, my heart is in this and I can get involved. Well, listen, you're welcome to talk to any of the staff or the core team or those who are congregational leaders or cell leaders and ask them their views on any of this. But please do come to the annual meeting at the end of April and also come to the local congregational meetings thereafter so we can talk this through a bit more in depth and a bit more in detail as far as it affects you. Thank you for listening to this podcast and this talk, and I hope that it really helps you understand a bit more about where we are at this time in the things of God. Thank you.